Welcome to a very first episode of Breaking Impossibilities. I'm Justin Townsend. I'm your host, and today I'm going to become vulnerable and I'm going to be telling my stories. I'm going to apologize in the beginning, not because about what I'm going to say, but because I might be stumbling and I might be fumbling. There's a whole lot of shit that has happened in my life that I'm really going to try to put out there so you guys can understand who I am today and what I've gone through, and this is my story. And I don't give a fuck if I offend you. If anybody feels like I'm talking about them or whatever the case may be. If your feelings are getting hurt, then you might want to talk to a therapist, and that's real. This is Breaking Impossibilities. This is where motherfuckers have told you that you can never do shit, but this is why. This is the exact reason why we end up doing it, is to prove people wrong. And that's exactly what's happened in my life. See, I was born and raised in Oakland, California, High Street to be exact. My mother and father split up when I was at a very young age. A lot of domestic violence, a lot of different things going on, drugs, guns, alcohol, all that hoorah going down. Police raiding the house. My mother was in and out of prison. I was raised by my mom, my grandma, my auntie. My dad was there, but he lived with my grandma. At times, it would just be like I would only see him from time to time until he got clean. And then he was by my side all the way up until the day that he died. My mother, she was my superhero, someone that I looked up to. She did the best she could. She was in and out of prison, trying to make ends meet. My Auntie Raven, she was the one that really taught me about respect. My grandma Marcy, she taught me my values and what it is to be, the oldest of the family, and, taught me really how to be a man in a world of destruction. She tried to teach me a lot of things when my mom was in prison, my auntie was in prison, and my dad was off trying to get clean. But I was in demon mode as a young child, and I wasn't never really trying to listen. See, I really had a passion for playing basketball. I loved it. That was my passion. That's what I wanted to do. I had dreams of being drafted and going to the NBA. But see, what happened is I never even made it to high school. So I was drafted to High Street. And that's where, as a young kid, I was forced to become a young man and even an adult at a very young age. I remember there was times when my mother would be in prison, and that's when real shit started to happen. I really had to make ends meet. The water used to get cut off. Grandma wasn't really making no money. So we would always be behind in rent. I was a white kid in a black neighborhood. See, I was a white boy with no privileges. Didn't even have my own room to sleep in. I was sleeping on the couch. I remember roaches crawling all over the walls. I remember having to go to school and dump my backpack out, making sure that I didn't take no roaches into class with me. We used to have boiling hot water on the stove so we can take baths. I mean, this is the type of shit that I had to go through at a very young age. So it was like when I was introduced to the streets and that fast money, that's something that was very attractive and something that I really wanted to end up doing. And really, it wasn't school that was going to get me there because nobody in my family had ever graduated, completed school, or anything like that. The only thing that we knew was the streets, drugs, crime, guns. I mean, whatever it is. My family comes from a history, of motorcycle gangs. And I was engulfed in the streets of East Oakland. So all my friends was black. I come from a very, heavy neighborhood. So it was like, you got down with the got down. And if you didn't get down with the get down, then you had to lay down. And that's pretty much basically it. By the time I was 10 years old, I was already catching the bus. I was already doing things on my own. Me and my brother would be going to the A's, Raider, and Warrior games, hustling. And that's what we used to do. We used to skip school and go there. And that's when we really started to learn how to make money on our own and really make ends meet. I remember we used to walk through deep East Oakland all the way from the 70s through the 60s, through the 50s, and all the way home to High Street, 2 o'clock in the morning. And we used to be respected, you know what I mean? We really didn't get messed with. Like everybody used to respect the little white youngins walking through the street with memorabilia from Muggsy Bogues, Antoine Jameson, Jason Giambi, Ben Grieve, all these different things, bats, gloves, baseballs, and stuff like that. And that was really a fun time for me in my life and where I really enjoyed it, man. But like school always hindered me. It was like I always had this responsibility of going to school. So I really didn't feel like that was something that was going to help me evolve in my life. Never really made it to high school. Like I said, I was kicked out of the seventh grade. By the time I was 13 years old, I was sleeping in the park across the street from the house because my mother was in prison and nobody wanted to deal with my shit because I was so involved in the streets. Shootouts, violence, high speed chases, police coming to the house. I mean, this wasn't your necessary, this wasn't your usual 13-year-old life, but this is something that I had to grow up and deal with. I got a little bit older, about 15, 16. I was already dibbling and dabbling into ecstasy, doing different drugs, and that's when my addiction started to take over. I started to really just did everything to get high, started to use all my money to spend on ecstasy, alcohol, partying was the way to go, and I lost sight of the real mission was to make money, to become that high roller drug dealer, bigger than Felix Mitchell in East Oakland. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean, right? Then by the time I was 17, 18, the streets really got dangerous. Things started to get really wicked for me. I remember my dad would come down, and after that, about this time, my dad was already clean and sober. He's already been to program, and he's been clean for a couple years. He was in my life. Let me go back to the first time I seen my dad after he got clean. I was at the basketball court and I was playing hoops, man, and this white dude was walking up and he was saying my name. He was like, Justin, Justin, Justin. And I'm like, man, who the fuck is this dude, right? And dude had a full set of teeth. My dad didn't have no teeth before he went into this program. Uh, he was clean cut. My dad was really raggedy looking. He had a beard like this, long hair, Harley Davidson hat, just really fucked up. And I'm like, who the fuck is this? And I looked at him and I said, Dad? I couldn't believe it was my dad. I must have ran so fast and jumped into his arms, man. And it was a moment that I'll never forget because at that moment, I was about, 12 years old. My dad, was there in my life. The unfortunate thing is I couldn't go live with my dad because of the things that I was involved with. Nobody really wanted me around. But about 16, 17 years old, I was heavy in the streets. I was doing different things, high speed chases, selling dope on the corner, just all these different things that like I was a young man in a grown man's lifestyle. About 18 and 19 came and things really started to get serious. And my dad, I remember him coming to me and my dad was like, hey, the house is getting shot, houses is getting shot up. There's nobody that's ever let me in their house. I was disowned, dismissed, denied. People thought I was the root of the problem, wouldn't let me in the house. I used to have to sleep on the streets or sit up all night selling drugs because nobody really wanted me to come into their house, man. It felt like I was the problem. I didn't feel loved. I didn't feel appreciated. I didn't feel none of that. I didn't feel supported or anything like that. So he was like, hey, go to Utah. I ended up going to Utah, after he begged me. I was only supposed to go out there for a month, but I ended up staying out there for about 6 years. That's when things really started to take off for me. I went out there and stayed with some family member friends. And at this time, we ended up getting our own apartment. And see, the problem is that you took me out of Oakland, but you didn't take the Oakland out of me. So I brought that shit right with me. Me and my brothers that we all went out there. We went out there and started to wreak havoc, just like if we was back in the town. And it was really it didn't go unnoticed because we stuck out like a sore thumb. It was a bunch of hoodlum white boys coming out there acting like, you know what I mean, they didn't know how to act in a country place, in a white place. And see, that's where things really started to take off for me, and where I ended up getting into a lot of fights, a lot of disagreements, a lot of different things. Like motherfuckers really had me fucked up out there, where it's like I really had to go into demon mode and change my whole perspective, and everybody was the enemy because I didn't have no family out there. I didn't have nobody out there. Living didn't really matter to me anyways because I was ready to die back in Oakland. So it don't really matter who it was. I was just ready to get off on whoever it was. Started to drink really heavy, got into cocaine really heavy. And this is where I was introduced to methamphetamines. I started shooting the dope. And I remember sleeping in the snow, being homeless out there, not really taking care of myself. And I remember I used to sit out there in the rain and I just used to watch the raindrops fall on the ground. And some people would be like, damn, was you cold? What happened? to be honest with you, I was waiting for the rain to drop in my needle cap so I can pull that shit back and do a shot. And you know what I mean? And then I would get on the next thing going. See, my addiction took me to different places in my life that I would never even imagine. My addiction took me to places where I didn't feel loved, I didn't feel appreciated, I didn't feel um, any type of like compassion. I felt like I was against the world. I felt like things was impossible. There was nothing. Like my destiny was to die. I didn't even think I was supposed to see past 18 years old, and I knew by 25 I would be dead somewhere. And that's just the way my life was going, because that those were the statistics that I was given while I was a young kid in Oakland. Like we don't see past 25. Anybody 25 years old is an OG in the streets. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I made it past 25 and things have changed in my life today. But because of my addiction and where it took me to, it dragged me through the knee deep in the fire of hell. Like things that I never would even imagine would happen to me happened to me. And I placed all of that on my own plate. Like anything that happened to me, it wasn't nobody else's fault. It was all mine. After I done some work on myself, I had to realize that these are the things that I've done to myself. But going back to Utah, man, I was out there robbing, stealing, and doing all the willing and dealing that anything could happen. I was going from house to house, and things was, very unnatural for me because I was really outside of my environment. Come 2012, 2012, man, was the year I came back to Oakland, man. My mom was back home, and I knew she was dealing with a lot of different illnesses because my mother was, 2002, we found out she had congestive heart failure. And then when my mother would always have a hard time breathing, and I knew she wasn't always going to be the same, but I always knew my mom would always be there. See, my mom was my superhero. My mom was someone that I always wanted to be like. My mom was like I was a mama's boy. Like it didn't matter. I remember there was times where we used to sleep in the car. You couldn't take me anywhere. She couldn't drop me off anywhere. That was the person that I wanted to be with. It didn't matter if we were sleeping in motels. It didn't matter if we were sleeping in the car. It didn't matter if we were sleeping outside in the motorhome. It didn't matter. Roach infested, rat infested. It didn't matter where we was at. As long as I was with my mama, it was all good. And I'm gonna tell you that even when I came back in 2012, the look on her face when I walked through that door was something spectacular. Just like for her to see me, and I actually felt that love again, where I knew that somebody wanted me to be around, somebody wanted to love me, somebody cared about me, and it was my mom. My mom didn't know at this time that I was shooting dope or doing any of that stuff. And at this time, I didn't even know my mom had ever dibbled and dabbled in shooting dope or doing anything like that. I knew she used to get high. I remember being young. I used to have to sleep on the couch. She used to be locked in a room, getting high and selling dope outside of her window to make ends meet. When my mom was home and not in prison, we didn't really have to go for anything, man. She made sure that she took care of everything. Everything was cool. All I had to do was go to school and everything was good. But I disappointed her and I never did any of that. So I dragged a lot of that shit with me, man. That's a lot of my identity is depression, self doubt, disappointment, and things like that because of the things that I've done when I was a kid and the things that I was told. So I got a lot of that shit that I deal with, and it's been compacted and packed up in boxes and stored up here. And it's hard for me to navigate through that. And every day I battle through that shit because of the things that I've gone through. And that's exactly what Breaking Impossibilities is. It's just not even about the other people telling me I can't do it. It's about me telling myself that I can't do it. And for me, I'm gonna tell you right now, anything is possible because I'm gonna tell you, navigating through that shit and walking, putting one foot in front of the fucking other, you're gonna be able to do anything you put your mind to. It doesn't matter if you aren't able to do it yesterday, try again today, and I guarantee you're gonna be 1% better. We have to struggle in order to learn. If we don't struggle, we do not know how to approach this and become better. We have to break something in order to know how to fix it. See what I'm saying? It's like all these different things that I've gone through in my entire life has been a lesson. I've learned from every single thing. As long as I'm not going to die, I can be better at it the next day. When I came back in 2012, my mother, the look on her face was phenomenal. It was a feeling that I thought I would never feel again. And I know I've already mentioned this, but it was that feeling of need, the love and the care, and I knew that this right here is where I needed to be at. She didn't know that I was shooting dope. She didn't know that I had a 9 millimeter packed in the bag. She didn't know that I had dope in the bag. She didn't know none of that. And well, it didn't take long because the very next morning she was looking for her credit card, and my bag was hanging up on the back of the door, and she found my bag with the 9 millimeter, the pack of needles, the dope, and everything. And um, I blamed it on the girl that was with me, so I told her it was hers and not mine. But at the end of the day, like, she already knew what time it was. She know who I was, what I was, where I came from, and it was just that moment where that disappointment sat in immediately again. It didn't take very long for that disappointment. I know that look. And when she gave me that look, I knew she was disappointed and discouraged about what I was doing in my life. And she probably felt like she failed as a parent. But I could tell you right now, she did everything in her power. She did everything in her power to make sure that I understood how to live life. And there's one thing that she always used to tell me: no matter what it is that you do, boy, you always be the best at it. I don't give a fuck if it's pushing a cart full of cans. You be the best can cart pusher in the whole motherfucking world. So, with that being said, it's like whatever you put your mind to, you just know you're going out there and you're giving it your best. Because if you're not giving it your fucking best, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And that's point blank, period. And that's what I take from that. You understand? For me, my mom passed away in 2013, 1 year after I came back from Utah. Found my mother dead in Highland Hospital parking lot. I remember the day like it was yesterday. Woke up, my mom was in the kitchen making omelets, and I'm like, "What is you doing?" See, we lived on 98th and Railroad, so we had people living on the side of the house in a tent. We had somebody living in the garage. We had somebody living in the shed. And then we had me and my mom living in the house. And then my little brother sleeping on the couch. And she's in there making omelets for everybody. There's about 12 people. And I'm like, "Mom, what you doing?" She's like, "Well, I'm going to my appointment. I'm making omelets for everybody." I'm like, "For what?" Fuck them. She's like, "I'm making omelets for everybody." I said, "All right." She's like, "I'm making you one too." I said, "I don't want one. I don't want one. I'll make you one." She's like, "No, I'm making you one." Of course, I didn't have one. I wish I did. It's probably why I eat omelets all the time now. But I remember we were sitting on the couch and she was saying bye to the dog. My mom, she was saying, "Be good for him, Coco. Be good for him. I want you to listen to him." And I looked at her, I was like, "Mom, what the fuck is you doing? You plan on not coming back or something? You plan on going to die or something?" She says, "Well, And that moment right there is what told me that something was wrong. See, a couple days before this, I had heard her screaming. I'm outside hitting the speed bag, and I heard her screaming. And I go in there. I'm like, "What's wrong?" She's screaming. Nobody's giving me any attention. Nobody wants to be around me." And I was like, "Oh, you big old baby." I was like, "Chin up. It's gonna be all right." And I walked in the back room. See, I didn't know my mom was fighting a disease that she was fighting. I didn't know my mom was fighting something that was uncurable. I didn't know that my mom was suffering the way she was suffering. She kept me out. She didn't want me to know any of this. Then we fast forward back to a couple days after that is when my mother was going to her appointment. She was making all these omelets. She was saying bye to the dog. Like, what the fuck is you doing? You plan on going to die or something? Like, what's going on? Like, you not coming back? She was famous for that shit. She would be gone for months at a time. When I was a kid, I used to have to go find her. And she said, "Well, I'm not going to be here forever." I don't want to hear that shit, man. Matter of fact, you want me to go to this appointment with you? Nah, you can't come. Okay. She called up the hospital, Highland Hospital, and says, "Hey, we're gonna be late. I'm gonna be late." They like, "Sue, we already know it's all good. We know she's always late. She's late. She's gonna be late to her own funeral." I swear to God, that's what my dad used to say. Man, the day went. My mom left. The day went by. Woke up the next morning. The dog is in my room. Me and the dog don't fucking get along. Dog's making these weird ass noise, and I'm like, "Man, where's my mama? Where's my mama?" I'm asking everybody. We got the people on the side of the house coming in. We got people living in the garage, and they all like, "Oh, we don't know. We ain't heard from her." I'm like, "Man, something ain't right, man." Go back to bed. Wake back up. The dog's in the bed with me. The hell? What's going on? This is strange. Go out. I'm like, "Man, we need to call the casino, hospital. We need to call the jail, everything, right?" I called Highland Hospital. They says, "Oh, we don't have no record of your mom being here." Okay. Boom. The next day comes, April 6th, 2013. I get a phone call. "Justin, we found your mom. Come to Highland Hospital." Boom. Go to Highland Hospital. My mom's dead in the car in the parking lot. She never made it to her appointment. I'm sitting there talking to the doctors and everything. They said that she never even had an appointment. What the fuck? What you mean she ain't had no appointment? We called and said she was going to be late, and they said they confirmed it. I remember seeing my mom laying on the gurney. She was gone. I told the doctor, he said, "Hey, hey." And I said, "Man, I need to see my mom. I don't give a fuck what you talking about. Take me to my mom." I went to see my mom. I gave her one last kiss. And I told her I was sorry. That shit didn't make me change. I was still so addicted to dope. I was still so addicted and in the grips of my addiction. It had me by my neck. That shit pulled me under 20,000 leagues under hell. I'm so in the fire of the disease of addiction that I'm going to tell you right now that at that point, nothing mattered to me. Everybody around me was the enemy. Me and my auntie got into it. People started to really disown me, cast me out. Oh, this, that, and the other. It was just a whole bunch of bullshit, a lot of chattery, a lot of different things that really fucked up. And this is when I really found out like nobody really had my back. My mom was gone, and that was it. Very vague on her funeral services and all of that shit. I just remember bits and pieces since I was so drowned in the sorrow and the hurt that my mom was finally gone, and something that I thought would never happen. I remember telling my dad, I thought you was gonna be gone before her. I thought she was gonna live forever. And that was in 2013, and my father just passed away last August. And I can tell you right now, from that moment on, I lost the housing. I was stealing cars, sleeping in them, house to house, back to homelessness. I was in the streets, digging in dumpsters. Things really got worse for me. I remember I started to get into all these high speed chases, and it just became a sense of fulfillment for me where I would steal a car and then I would go and play chicken with the police so they can come and chase me because I had a death wish. It really didn't matter if I lived or died at this point in time. It was just whatever happened. I would get away every time. But at the end of the day, it was more or less just like I would continue to keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. I remember one time I was running from the police and I broke my leg and I was sent to the hospital, and I didn't go to jail, but I woke up with this X fix on my leg. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Long story short, with that, I ended up catching MRSA. The plates got infected. I wasn't taking care of it. I was living in unhealthy situations. never really got away from the roaches, the rats infestation. I was in all different types of trap houses. I was running the streets of Oakland more and more. I was doing different things. I was trying new things. I was becoming a menace. I was still in demon mode. And at this point, I was ready to lose my leg, man, because every time the police would stop me, I would tell them I have MRSA and they would let me go. I was so engulfed in the disease. I was so worried about getting high. Like the dope really had me, it was insidious. It really had me thinking that this was my get out of free jail card. And if they wouldn't take me to jail, they would just take me to the hospital. Like I'm never gonna get my leg looked at. Every time I would get sent to the hospital, I would break out the hospital and I would leave until one time I was in this $121,000 motorhome. I mean, this shit was fat. I mean, you hit a button and it would throw jacks on the ground and even you out. You hit a button, the motherfucking sides would come out. I mean, it was like a mini house. And I got into a high speed chase in this thing. I remember I was on 99th and Pippin, and at the warehouse where we always used to be at. And I was in this fucking motorhome from my party bus. It was April 26th. It was my birthday. And I went by to show my homeboy the fucking party bus that I had, this motherfucking mansion on wheels. And I'm telling you, and I'm sitting there and I see all the different task force and undercovers swarming the area. They were just driving by. And I remember CHP pulled up and I was telling my girl, she was like, hey, you see this? Because she was in my car. And she was like, hey, you see this? You see this? And I was like, yeah. I was like, babe, just keep going. Just keep going. Don't even trip. You in a legit car. I said, I'm going to dip out. Once you pull off, I'm going to dip out. Well, what happened is when she pulled past me, they pulled up behind her in front of me and cut me off. And they whipped out. They hopped out and they whipped out on me. And they was pointing their guns at me. And I'm in this big ass motorhome where this is all window. I mean, the front of me was all glass for the people that are listening. It's all glass in front of me. I got all glass on the side of me. So it was like a perfect shot. I'm dead. And this is when highway patrol are shooting and killing people. Rest in peace to my little partner Chill. He got killed a couple years earlier by CHP and for high speed chasing. And so I thought this was my time. So I just closed the window on the side of me and I dug down and I hit the gas and I just hear him, get the fuck out the way. So they dove out of the way. They thought I was going to hit them. But see, I was in between a building and a telephone pole at this point, and I knocked all the mirrors off and it was shattered. And I could just feel the bus getting stuck in between this building and this telephone pole. And then I looked up and I seen the U-Haul truck in front of me just rolling forward. So what I did was I put the bus in reverse, put it in drive, and I pushed the U-Haul out of the way, pulled off, and I got out of there. And I got away. I went down 98, turned on Railroad, passed my mom's old house, blew her a kiss, kept it pushing. I was doing about 100 in this big ass bus down Railroad all the way to the end. Called my girl, told her to meet me by the 85 Village. Went to the 85 Village, hopped out. She had task force behind her. I hopped out, got into my car, and then dipped on them and got away from them as well. So we go all the way up into the 82nd and we're hiding in the park and we're waiting for somebody to come pick us up. Later that night, we ended up going to a motel in Pleasanton where her cousin was at. She ended up getting the hotel with the fraudulent credit card, and we were getting in the shower and we heard a knock on the door. Bang, bang, bang. She was like, what the fuck is that? I said, you know what that is. It's over. I did my last shot of dope. It's April 27th, 2017. They came in and kicked in the door, had the needle on my arm. I pulled it out. They put us on the ground, and I started taking everything because at this point, I'm thinking I'm going to the hospital. I'm like, yeah, that's mine, that's mine, that's mine. Let them go. Everything is mine. Let them go. Well, they ended up taking me to the hospital. I remember this nurse. She comes up and she looks at my leg and she says, oh, that's just cellulitis. I said, nah, I got MRSA. I need to go to Highland Hospital, call my doctor. He's going to send for an ambulance and they're going to come get me. I need to go for emergency surgery. She says, nah, you're good. You're going to jail, honey. I looked at her like, you fucking bitch. Little do I know. I wish I knew who that nurse was. the General Hospital in Pleasanton, because I wish I could tell her thank you because she saved my life. I was rescued by the Pleasanton police. I was saved by that nurse. Because if she would have never told me that I was going to jail, I would have never turned my life around. I get into jail. I went to Santa Rita jail. Got pulled into the I got pulled into booking or whatever. In the booking cells. I'm sitting there and this cop comes by, Larson. He was a part of the auto theft task force. He comes in, he's like, finally got your ass, Red. He says, you coming with me. I said, man, I don't know shit. Comes in, he takes me in, he sits me down. There's this old man, there's this young dude. Little do I didn't even think about it. I got the same hat on, same clothes I had on the day before in the motorhome. He like, you want a Coke? I'm like, no, I don't want no Coke. The old dude was like, hey man, they introduce herself. One's a CHP, one's a sheriff. You know, I'm like, oh, okay, this is the task force right here. They call them ATRAC. I forget what they call. But anyways, they're like, man, what you was doing yesterday? I said, man, shit, it was my birthday. I was chilling, man. What you was doing yesterday? It's like, man, you sure about that? I started thinking. It was like, hey, man, what kind of hat is that? And that's when I knew. I looked at him. I said, man, you know what type of hat it is. I took that motherfucker off and I threw it to him. I said, look, check this out, man. Whatever you got on me, it's on me, man. Let her go. I was talking about my girl at the time. Just let her go, man. She on probation, man. She had nothing to do with none of this shit, man. And she was trying to get away from this shit, man. But I kept involving her in this shit, man. Let her go. This is all me. Whatever you got. They start sliding pictures of me getting out the motorhome, getting into my car. They like, man, you know, you almost killed the CHP. And I was like, man, I wasn't trying to hit him. I went the opposite direction. I'm not taking that. That's not me, man. That's not what I was trying to do. I was trying to get away. I wasn't trying to hit him. And that was like, well, and I looked at the other officer and I says, man, I'm going to be here for a while, huh? He was like, yeah, yes, you are. And I was like, well, I can take that Coke now. So he went and got me the Coke. And I remember I was looking at the old dude and I was like, man, hey, I recognize you, man. Was you lost on Eastman in the 30s? I was like, man, I remember that. See, what happened was I was out there just, riding around, joyriding in the little Honda, and I seen these two old white men lost on Eastman. I'm like, oh, well, shit, let me help these guys out, man. They're lost in the wrong neighborhood. Let me, little did I know, it was the motherfucking police. I was trying to take them that was like, hey, I found them on Eastman, and I was like, hey, where you guys going? We're going to Eastman. I'm like, what the fuck? Let me take y'all to Eastman. I was so high and out of my mind. I was going to take them to Eastman, but we was already on Eastman. I was going to take them on Eastman all the way down past Brookdale. So I was like, all right, man, follow me. We're going down 38th and they're trailing behind me. And that's when it clicked, man. I seen them on the phone. I was like, oh, that's the police. Had to dip on them that time and got away as well. I mean, I got away so many different times, man. They just started calling me Kick One. You know what I'm saying? But while I was in Santa Rita jail, man, that's when I really started to turn my life around, because when I was able to wake up and do 10 push-ups, I was able to understand that, like, this is not the way I wanted to live my life anymore. And that was the deciding factor for me. I was able to wake up and not need anything. I didn't want to have to fiend for anything. And I wanted to do something different with my life. So I signed up for every program dorm. I signed up for every school, whatever. And that's when I started to get my GED. My leg got better, got the plates taken out. I still walk a little bit with a limp, but I remember when the doctor told me that I wasn't going to be able to walk the same at all. I said, you fucking lying, because I'm going to walk the same, no matter what. I got transferred to another jail. in Marin County because I had a case out there, and then Contra Costa County as well. And that's when I met Daryl Roy in Marin County Jail. And this man, he was my recovery coach, but then became, family to me. He was the one that, you know, helped me get into Father Alfred Center and St. Anthony's Foundation. And this is where I really, like, I was 90 days to the house, and I figured out, man, I had to do something different in my life. Like, if anybody's in jail and they just don't know what to do, go to a program, do something, like try to figure something out. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, it's like you can't do that shit on your own. When you already are known, or you like the things you know is the things that you were taught as a young child. See, my perception as a child, it was like poor habits. Like that shit was instilled to me, like poor living, poor lifestyle, like get it how you live, surviving, struggling. That shit was normal to me. You got to step outside of that box and do something different with your life. And that's what I had to do when I was in jail, man. I prayed to my mama and I said, please give me a program. Like the nurse wasn't trying to sign off on this program because of my leg. But I prayed to her and I said, please, mama, please just talk to your partner up there, because I was mad at God at the time and I really didn't have a relationship. And I was like, please just give me this program and I promise you I'm going to change my whole entire life. There's not going to be nothing you're going to have to worry about. You will not be disappointed in me ever again. And I promise you that. Just please give me this program. And see what happened the next day. The doctor came in and told me, I'm going to sign off on this program, but you have to promise me you're going to go to a hospital if you start to feel like your leg is bothering you, because this is a work program. I said, say less. I'm going no matter what, because I want to do something different with my life. I'm tired of living in this hell. I'm tired of living in this desperation. I'm tired of living in depression, anxiety, and having thoughts of wanting to kill myself. I'm tired of using just to do something. I'm tired of being unwanted or nobody being appreciated and not being responsible and not being there for my father, for my sister, for my nephew, like my brother. I'm tired of not being there. I'm tired of not being present. I want to do something different. And that's exactly what helped me ignite this change, because it's just something I wanted to do. I wanted to break all the impossibilities. Everybody told me that I wasn't able to do this. I wasn't able to do that. That's impossible, Justin. You're nothing. You're not going to do that. And I'm going to tell you right now, I've done everything everybody told me that I wasn't going to be able to do. So like motherfuckers told me I've never lost anything. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I changed my fucking life because I was tired of losing. And it's me that had to take those steps. It's me that had to take action. Nobody was going to do it for me. I had a bunch of support. I did have people telling me like, hey, you could do this. My grandma always used to tell me, my auntie and my mom, oh, you can do this. You could do this. Oh, you do that. You could do this. But I would disappoint over and over and over, because you know who didn't support me was me. It don't matter who's telling you what. If it ain't you telling yourself to do this, it's not going to fucking happen. You got to believe in yourself before anybody else can. All that shit is noise. You got to be the reason you change. So I went to this program. It was a 1-year program, and I completed this program. They ended up putting me through school, giving me a job. I became a counselor. And that's where I found my next love and passion. And that's speaking to people, speaking to kids, empowering youth, doing different things to help these kids become a better version of themselves, doing workshops, hustling with a purpose, taking transferable skills and making whatever it is that you learned on the street and applying that to the business, to corporations, and doing shit like that. See, and that's what I do today. I changed my whole entire life because I was tired of fucking losing. I wanted to become a winner. Graduated the program, and during that time, I met the most amazing person in my entire life. My backbone, my partner, someone that is going to always be there by my side and support me no matter what. My ride or die, my wife, Tanea. I love you so much. And babe, I'm shouting you out here because without you, none of this shit would be possible. You push me when I don't want to be pushed. You push me when I want to sit down. You pick me up when I want to lay down. You move me when I want to stay still. You breathe life into me when I don't even want to live. And for that, I love you. And I'm so grateful for everything that you brought into my life, the new ways of life, of living, traveling, and doing different things. Like, I didn't know none of that shit. I didn't know any of that. Like, seeing different places, Mexico, and LA and just like small shit like that. I've never even been there. I didn't leave Oakland. 2/22/25, me and Tanae ended up getting married. That's about 3 months ago, and I'm gonna tell you right now, it was the best decision I ever made in my entire life. It was a covenant that we had to make with God, and see, it's a mystery only God understands. And I'm gonna tell you this because it does feel different. It's a beautiful thing. It's a different type of respect. Fast forward to where we're at today, man. It's a lot of different things, man. I enjoy helping people. I got 8 years clean, never used anything. I've been to jail twice clean, still didn't use anything because I'm gonna fucking tell you right now, anything is possible when you put your mind to it. It don't matter what it is, just do it. It don't matter if you don't feel like doing it, just do it. I don't give a fuck. And that's just the way it goes, man. If you don't do it, somebody else is gonna do it. And they ain't gonna do it for you, they're gonna do it for them. And that's the problem. If you got a great idea and you feel it in your heart, you following it, that's your passion. Keep going. And if you fail, try again. Because I'm gonna tell you, the greatest people have failed so many different times in their life that they become the greatest. Michael Jordan got cut his freshman year. I don't give a fuck what you say. He's the greatest of all time. Got cut his freshman year. And look what he's become. Dean Smith didn't believe in starting no freshmen. He started Michael Jordan. Took the last shot in the NCAA championship game. Made it. They won. Drafted. And you know the story from there. Like all these different things. Muhammad Ali used to get picked on and punished when he was a kid. And that's what drove him to going to the boxing gym. And look at him. Became the greatest of all time. With struggle becomes perseverance. Perseverance comes discipline. Comes consistency, comes confidence. I'm at a place today in my life where I'm trying to just do nothing but help the youth, empower the youth, and become a better version of themselves. I know this August 5th for the RISE members in Richmond, California. See, what I'm doing is I'm putting together 100 backpacks, and I'm trying to give them out to all the members of RISE, 100 plus backpacks if I could, and provide them free haircuts, braids. There's already food going on. We're partnering with RISE on their national night out with Safety and Liberation to provide the support for these kids before they go back to school in Richmond, California. My plan is to do this in different cities every year to support different kids in every area. Soon, man, it's going to go from city to city to county to state to state. Like, that's the goal. That's the vision. And I'm going to tell you, man, if there's something that I didn't say today that didn't help you, hurt your feelings, oh, fucking well. Go talk to a therapist. But I can tell you right now, I'm unapologetic of who I am. And this is my story. This is my truth. This ain't your shit. I do want to tell you, man, thank you for listening and tuning in to the Breaking Impossibilities podcast. In future episodes, we are going to be talking to guests, and we're going to be bringing them on here to talk about how they broke impossibilities with their businesses, where they came from as children, how they was brought up, what is their most fear, what scared them the most about taking that risk, taking that step outside of the box into the streets of fucking unknown and becoming the best version of themselves. We're going to bring value here to let you know, because if you're struggling right now, if you're sitting there doubting yourself, that's fucking okay. That's okay. But just know you can reach out to me. I'm on Instagram, Breaking Impossibilities, TikTok, Breaking Impossibilities, Facebook, Breaking Impossibilities. You can reach out, DM, hit me up anytime. Comment down below in this, share, subscribe this podcast. Comment down below. Let me know what's going on. See what it is that I can do to help work with you. Maybe we can put together a survival toolkit on anything navigating through your mental health, depression, anxiety, or whatever it is. If you're dealing with addiction or you just having a fucking hard time, that's okay. Speak up. Grab a journal. Call somebody. Let's get through this shit together. But we will be bringing people on here to help you understand how it is to go from the complete fucking gutter to the top of Mount Everest. And with that, man, all you have to do is believe in yourself, trust yourself, and love yourself, because anything is fucking possible. You're possible, baby. Let's get it. We out.